Okay, folks, I guess it's 7 o'clock, so we'd like to start on time. So we have some visitors here. We have more than we had last year, which is great, and hopefully we have a good crowd online. First thing I wanted to say is Minister Compton not feeling well tonight, and so she's not going to be able to attend, but I wanted to thank the Premier and herself for all of the support that we're getting from those two. You know, we had issue there last winter and a lot of financial help, but not only that, just help in every way. Whenever we ask them for anything, they're all very obliged. So she's home, she's not well, so anyway, we'll carry on. You'll see that we have the agenda here. It's a fairly large agenda where I do my presentation on vision and whatnot. There's a lot of slides there, but each member of the board is going to get up and talk about their roles on the board. So hopefully, and at the end down in number 6, you'll see Brenda Wedge is going to come in and make a presentation because many of the standardbred people were asked to give their opinion on how, what could people do to improve the industry, and Holland College and AVC are working together on a program. So Julie and I and Gary met with that group, the advisory committee, a couple of weeks ago, and said that it's time that we let our group understand. There was 181, I think, gave recommendations on what it would improve the industry, and we had never heard of anything, and that was probably quite a while ago, a couple of years probably. So they agreed that they would come at the annual meeting and show some slides on what they're working on to try to bring the industry forward. It's all on Holland College and Landing Vet College working together to try to move the industry forward. At this time, David McKenzie from Red Shores is going to say a few words.
Thank you, Blaine. Minister Compton, who I know is home watching online in her home in the Ponds Road. Chairman Blaine, Executive Director Julie, Industry Association board members, PEI race community, good evening and welcome to Red Shores. Tonight we'll hear some very positive results about this past race season. I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder, but I think all of us are aware we had an outstanding race year here on PEI. We'll also hear some very positive announcements for the future of the industry tonight. And we'll have another one tomorrow here at 11 o'clock that Red Shores is hosting, and you're all welcome to join us for that. When I think about the primary reason for success, one word comes to mind, and that is alignment. Good things happen when people align for good reasons, and I think that's happening in the industry right now. The partnership between the province of PEI, the Industry Association, the Horse Owners Association, the Prince County Group, the Breeders Association, and Red Shores has never been stronger, and I think the results are really starting to show themselves. Nothing is perfect. There's always work to be done and things to be fixed. But I'm confident that with this alignment that we have now, that we are stronger and we can tackle anything that comes our way and build new standards for success in the future as an industry. On behalf of the entire Red Shores team and the team at ALC, I want to thank the industry for your significant contribution to this success and in building a strong future for the industry. We're very proud at Red Shores to work beside you. Thanks. Have a good meeting.
Thank you, David. Julie has put a slide presentation together similar to what we did in other years, but the theme that I wanted to talk about tonight was just our vision. When we started back, we had a meeting up in the boardroom here of Red Shores in December of 19, and there was quite a group of the industry in that meeting, and we came out with, I think, 11 different themes and 11 different things that we wanted to talk about. And so that's what my theme is going to be for tonight. So I always think that we should start off with our mission and our vision. Any time that we're going to have an annual meeting, that we want to make sure we don't lose our way on what are we trying to accomplish with this board. So the mission is to establish and perpetuate the financial stability and future viability of the harness racing industry on Prince Edward Island. And our vision is to strongly contribute to the social, moral, economic well-being of Prince Edward Island through the comprehensive approach to all aspects of harness racing. So I think that's where we're concentrating on. And I think governance is very, very important on any board. And, you know, like I've said forever, been around a long time on different boards, boards aren't good or boards are not bad. The people make a good board or a bad board. And we have a very, very strong board here. The industry is really lucky to have the kind of people we have on this board. So I'm up top, Lane McPherson, I'm the chair, and I'm a member at large. There's 3 members at large on this board. Mike Curry is the vice chair, and he's a member at large, and he's in Kings County. Gary McGuigan, he's the treasurer, and he represents Atlantic Standardbred Breeders. Garth Cole, and he came on a year ago, and he's a member at large. Peter Smith, he's a director, and he's president of the PEI Standardbred Horse Owners Association. Peter can't make it tonight. He got home on Friday, I guess, from Florida, and he's not feeling well, so I guess he's down with COVID as well. So he sent a piece along that I'll be reading later. Lee Drake is a director, and he's representing Red Shores. Josh Nickel is a director, and he's representing Red Shores. Dina Clow is a director, and she's representing Prince County at all of the board meetings. Bruce Wood is a director. He's representing the Standardbred Breeders Association. And Earl Watts is a director, and he's representing Maritime Breeders. And then we have ex officio, which is Kent Oakes, so he would represent the Department of Finance. So anything that's happening in that area, Kent works on that. Bill Rolson represents the Harness Racing Commission. And of course, Julie Jameson is our executive director, and she's done an excellent job since she's come on a couple of years ago. So that's the group that are looking after the industry, I guess you would call it, and the budget that we have, and making sure we have money in the bank at the end of the year, and we try to move the industry forward. That's the whole idea. So we'll move on, and this is governance. So this is the different committees that are part of our board, which is the Finance Committee. The Purse Pool Committee is looked after by Peter Smith. The Stakes Committee is Earl Watts. Finance is Gary McGuigan. Special Events is Mike Curry. The Atlantic Classic Sale is Nick Oakes. And the PEI Standardbred Breeders Association is Bruce Wood. So those are committees, very active. As you know, the Atlantic Sale was very successful. We have a lot of good people on that committee. Bruce with the Standardbred Breeders, like we have meetings there, and very, very well attended, and you know, throw out things. How do we improve things? How do we make things better? That's what it's all about. Purse Pool, of course, we have a real good business guy looking after the money to make sure we're not spending more than we should and not over budget on the purses, and of course, Peter's excellent at all of that. The stakes is anytime we change any of the conditions on the stakes, we have a committee of which Earl is the chair, but we have different horsemen through the group that look after those conditions, and of course Gary's in finance. So anyway, that's our committee, all of our committees, and we have a lot of people that are on those committees that are not even, people don't even know who they are really unless you're on that committee. So when we had that meeting back in December of 19, we came out with different things. How can we change things? How can we make things better? So we wanted to double the economic impact. We wanted to enhance the reputation of PEI being the Kentucky of Canada. We wanted to be viewed as a horse destination. we wanted to grow the wager, and I was talking to Lee today, and I had notes I went over this evening at home from that meeting. In 18, I believe the bet was like 6.2 million, something like that. Like right now, we're at over 12. We were going to double it by 2030, and we did it in 3 years. So things are moving along. Increase the quality and quantity of brood mares and stallions, and you'll see that in my presentation that we've increased mares and brood mares. Professionalism in the industry, I think we do have that. Staying knowledgeable workforce, and we're working on that with that Holland College and UPEI venture to see if we can make the workforce more knowledgeable. Enhance PEI and its environment, and we think increasing brood mares and foals will do that with more pastures and more hay and more straw and more people having horses. Growth in export, well, we certainly know the 3-year-olds we had here last year, how well they're doing in New York and in Toronto. Improved harness racing in the Atlantic region. And also, Mike mentioned to me a few minutes ago, Mike Curry, that we had a session between our industry association a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the Nova Scotia Industry Association, and they wanted to find out why were we successful in what we were doing, and it's just not a matter of getting money. I mean, we have a great board, and we have a lot of initiatives, and we have a lot of things that we're moving the industry forward. So I think they really enjoyed the input that they got from our board members. So we're trying to work with Nova Scotia, and you know, they have good people over there as well. They're just trying to get organized a little better than they are. So they're hoping to get more funding for this coming year, and I think they have a good chance of that, so maybe another $500,000. So hopefully they do that, because we need a strong maritime region. PEI can't do it all. So okay, economic impact. So the annual operating expenditures, 36.5. Now this was done a while ago. The impact, GPTP, 31 million. Supports 750 direct and indirect jobs, 2.2 million provincial tax. Revenues, 3.7 million in federal and municipal taxes. But you know, it's how well this place is doing. It's going to have a good year. Our sale was good. When I just think Julie wrote a check for something like $270-some thousand for HST. I mean, it's not all going one way. Some of it's going both ways. So this is the wagering growth that I was talking about. So overall, PEI, the wagers estimated to hit 12 million this year, when only a very few years ago it was 6 million, and the wager went up 16% in contribution to the purse pool. So how it works, and Lee's going to explain that in his presentation, that like we get more money by telephone betting, and so much for live and all of that. So Lee did a great job of really trying to promote HPI wagering, and also on your telephone wagering, and it's really paid off. And we were in the range of $380,000 coming to the purse pool. This year it's going to be, we had a little help from a windfall of 50,000, but without that we're going to range close to 550,000 now going into the purse pool. So you know, that's really good results, and that's how the purse pool gets increased. So the participation. So what we're trying to do here is, you know, the membership at Standardbird Canada, trying to increase it, and you'll see there it's continued to grow, 682. So it's the leading Canadian percentage of youth in Standardbird Canada under 35. So you know, we're leading, we're doing excellent from that point of view. The breeding sector improvements. We're continuing to try to get more mares. When we talked back in 19, we said we just need more mares, we need more stallions. What can we do to get that? And you know, I guess increasing the purses for 2- and 3-year-old stakes would encourage someone to raise another foal, and for someone to buy a yearling. So we had 274 in 19, 307 in 20, and 21, 354. So what we also put in something a couple of years ago called a resident mayor program. There were people here that had mayors on Prince Edward Island. They'd be border them at an island farm, but they weren't getting credited for any of the earnings from their offspring. So we put in a resident mayor program where if a mayor's here at least 183 days, she's foaled here. We've moved that from 11 mayors up to 25 mayors. So we're just trying to get more mayors here. The more mayors that are here, there's more board for the farmer, there's more hay being consumed, more straw, just more of everything. And it's a good thing. It's a good news story when you have pasture fields. So stallions, and we have lots of stallions in 22 as well, but this is for 21. This is the year we're talking about. So total stallions last year was 18. We had 2 trotting stallions and 16 pacing stallions. So the breed, we were at a crossroads, I guess 3 years ago or 4, and it looked like we weren't going to have any trot stallions. So there were 7 individuals got together and said, yes, we'd throw in $3,000 to buy a stallion if we could find one. And we knew there was a sale coming up in January in the Meadowlands. And the industry association loaned those 7 individuals $20,000 to buy this horse. So the horse's name is E.L. Rocket, and very, very well-bred animal. And he bred 33 mares the first year, and I don't know if it's up there. I think there's 19 foals. Ronnie would know that. 19 yearlings, and they'll be going to sale this fall. And I think the next year he had 28 mares. So that's a good news story, and with the stud fees that came in this year, that group were able to pay $5,000 back of the 20, so there's 15 still owed, so hopefully he keeps being productive. The trot breed improvement, and this is Bruce's group again. With the trot down, what can we do to get more trot mares? And that's the goal. So we said, well, and I remember back, I was on this board maybe back in the early 2000s, we said, let's get an open mares series going, and those were pacers. And it started real slow, but it ended up right now, the open mares that go here can go anywhere to race. I mean, they're just excellent quality. Many of them do stay here to become brood mares, and that was the goal, and it's working. So we thought, can we do the same thing with trot mares? Because a 3-year-old trotter is, worth at least $10,000, and you start putting a foal in, you're getting up $15,000 or $20,000. So we thought, well, why don't we start a series, and if they'll race here, maybe they'll be able to stay here. So that mare there is Chicky Little Minx, and she was quite successful last year. She won it. Wayne McRae and I own that mare, and she owns the track record here. But there were really, I guess, 5 excellent mares here last year. So that part is okay. We met again, Bruce's group met, and we don't want 4 mares of that quality or 5. The other people won't come in. So we decided, I don't know if it's on the next slide or not, Julie. Pardon? Go ahead. So, yeah, so okay, we went to the broodmare assistant. So we decided that, okay, some of us thought it should be trot mares, some thought mares in general. We decided to pay 50% up to $4,000, and we were quite successful, actually. There were more than 10 people applied. Julie did an excellent job. Anybody who saw who got picked to be able to buy a mare, and we wanted to increase the amount of foals. So the idea was to get 10 mares that were in foal, and we were lucky to, we got 9, so it was quite successful. We purchased 9 in-mare foals, and the total purchase of those 9 mares was $104,244, and we spent $34,000 on that. So we covered roughly 33% of the purchase price. And in our budget meeting, which was approved by the board last week, we put $10,000 more into that program, which means that group will have $60,000, with the hope that that will go for a trot mare. So maybe it'll be $6,000 for a trot mare, not $4,000. So anyway, but it's up to the group how they spend. It's their money. They can spend it whatever they want. There's a foal incentive program where each foal gets $250. Each breeder gets $250 for each foal, and we foaled out in 54 foals, and in 177 foals, paid out $44,250. We have $50,000 budgeted in that for that incentive, and again, we budgeted that again for this coming year. So hopefully, we'll get the numbers up to $50,000, and that'll keep increasing the foals. And of course, that's one of our initiatives way back when, in December of 19. So how that all works, we put in $125,000 for a breeder's award, and it all depends on what the offspring of these mares make. So in 20, there were 79 breeders, and their offspring took in $1,220,000, and we just divide that number into to give our percentage. With this past year was 8.31%, I believe. I don't know what it was in 20, but the average payout per breeder was $12.75. And then this year, that was for $100,000. Then 21, we put the incentive to $125,000, and there were 90 breeders involved. Their offspring took in almost $1.5 million. The average earning for a breeder was $16,600, and $1,388 payout per breeder. So that's been quite successful. Everybody likes it. I think it's 8.31%, wasn't it, Julie? So anyway, that's how we figure out how each breeder gets his money. So education, that's another part of it, creating knowledgeable workforce in harness racing industry. So we partnered with Equine Guelph. Many of you took part in that, in the educational opportunity for all PEI residents. We participated, who's participating in harness racing. So we covered 30% of the cost of that program, and it was different parts of handling a horse and how to train a horse. So 20 of 70 students in these courses are Islanders, and it's 29% of the island participate rate. So quite successful and very, very good courses. The symposium that many of you were at here 3 weeks ago or so, one-day education, it was excellent. It's amazing when you have teachers teaching something, they can bring it down to a normal level, we'll call it, not a scientific level. And I thought all of the veterinarians did an excellent job. And then we had a group of trainers come in, and they gave good observations on with Claire and Donnie McCrae and Adam. Growth in export. So I guess you can have a look at last year's 3-year-olds, how well they're doing there. But the Atlantic Classic sales summary, this is all the horses over the past 10 years that have gone through there. And, you know, we're always in that 100 range or a little over 100 that go most years. There was that one year when the bridge was closed that many of them couldn't get there, and COVID, there was only 82 consigned to begin with. But The average seems to be climbing on a regular basis. For a long time, we were always in that 5, 6. But I think the quality of the yearlings have really improved. The breeding has really improved. When you have a colt racing in the top class in Woodbine, you know, that tells you that you're doing something right. So Atlantic Canada was the first $1 million sale, the highest priced maritime yearling sold at public auction, and the highest priced maritime bred trotter sold at public auction, and the highest priced maritime bred filly. So it was the highest sale average. I mean, it was a very, very successful sale, no question about it. And, you know, if we can maintain that, that would be just wonderful. So this is just some statistics. 59 of the 103 were in PEI, and Nova Scotia, 33 of the 103. So excellent. Tax revenue generated, 269. I said 270, 269, 359 went back in HST, and so at least we were able to send some money back. These are some maritime horses that were exported, and you know, so much more. It's just, you know, what a mare. I mean, she's in racing against the colts all the time. Then Wade's trot colt is an excellent trotter. I mean, that trotter is probably one of the best in North America right now. Sky Roller, Papagogo, Ocean View Magnum, excellent horses that have been exported from here. And 21, like so much more, 255, Western Wish, 166. Loved by the masses. Have no idea if he stays sound how much he'll take in this year. Charismo, 116, and then Steel Deal. And of course, Steel Deal is doing quite well. So, which is just great news for the breeders here. I mean, it's showing things are heading in the right direction, and you know, just real good quality animals. Okay, budget. I didn't want to get on to specific just numbers. The government, they fund us. It's a little over $3 million this year, and then we have wage and commissions, and like I said, that's going to be in that around 550, probably 580 this year. We were able to get a $51,000 windfall because of many years of racing, of commissions in Newfoundland. But anyway, it'll generally be maybe 5 or 6 every year. So it'll be around 550 every year, which is good. Atlantic Catholic sale, we were fortunate to be in the 70,000 range. And Julie will be continually trying to upgrade that sale, or the board, the committee will, with the help of Julie. You know, will we put in video for the yearlings, get better internet? With the increased mares, you're going to have increased yearlings. What do we do there? Do we build another barn? Do we leave somewhere? Do we go to 2 sales in the one weekend? Is that the right weekend? You hear that from everybody. Is that the right weekend for people? And then, of course, staking revenue. All the different sustaining fees all come into revenue for our budget. So that's how we end up with the budget we have. It's getting up over $4 million, and it's a substantial amount of money to try to distribute all through the industry. So that's exactly where our expense side comes from. The other was revenue. Our purse pool, stakes and series, matinee program, the LASIX program, host fees. When you talk about host fees, you think of the track. It comes out of our funding. Hookup fees, special events, and Mike is good at that. Mike has a lot of different events that he puts on through the year. Education and scholarships, and then just generally overhead, office and wages. Okay, industry announcements. Average purses. So we've increased it $700 per race. And after tonight, we'll probably put a little more onto that. We're going to spend another $110,000 this year. So that'll be putting it up to $800 per race since 2019. So you'll see the horses are making nice income in a year now. So that's $800. That's another $100 a race that's going into the overnight purses only. We did not increase any of the stakes or anything like that. It's all in overnight purses. Okay, now this is an announcement we have. That's a different one? Okay, I better not open that one. So this is the Atlantic Invitational Cup. This is made up of free-for-all horses, I guess you want to call them, our top-class horses. And it's going to be an event that's going to go around the Maritimes.
Cup is a new series for pacers aged 3 and up, and horses participating in designated events earn points towards the final set for Atlantic Breeders' Crown weekend in October. Horses will be competing at different maritime tracks, and all the action will take place at Red Shore Charlottetown and Red Shore Summerside, Exhibition Park Raceway, and Truro Raceway.
3/4 and 1, 23 and 3. It's time to dance now by 2.5. Woodmere Ideal Art finally shaking loose. The 3-year-old batter up ahead of her, but it might be too late. It is time to dance to take the Lindsay Cup Invitational pace.
Homeward bound they come. Bugsy McGuire now is leading it. Avatar Cheney outside. Time to dance. They're in deep. Stretch now. Walter Simmons, it's your time.
They go off and pacing outside. Woodmere Ideal Art steps on the gas. He's the leader out of the gate. On the inside, that's Moonrider. These two into the turn. Woodmere Ideal Art, Moonrider inside. Time to dance, biding his time on the outside. He's now under an advance out of the turn. That is Woodmere Ideal Art.
Oh, and they're picking them up, and they're putting them down now. It's all Green Jazz. Second intended royalty, American Risk, the Red fourth. It's Green Jazz. Corey McPherson has the driving triple.
Follow the road to the Cup all season long in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. The Atlantic Invitational Cup, coming to a track near you in 2022.
So those are the events that are going to be held. Walter Dale, Ladner, Governor's Plate, Lindsay Cup, Premier's Pace, Gauguin Memorial, Conray Memorial, Reliable Motors and Richard Campbell Memorial, that's a new one that Brent and his family are going to have in October 1st, and then Atlantic Invitational Cup Final will be Breeders' Crown Day. So that should be a really, really nice, conditions are going to be finalized a little later, but we're hoping to, one of our, what we wanted to do was to get, you know, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia involved. So that was a way that we thought we could do that. So anyway, they'll go for a good purse each race, each weekend. And we'll have rules involved that everyone will still have to travel. Everybody can't stay in one place or another. So this is the Island Ocean Trot Classic. We're going to have that again this year. We've made some changes, like I said earlier. Those 4 or 5 mares that raced last year were exceptional mares, like they can go in 55, 56. There were other trotters that could go in 59, and they were being left out. So we decided to, the committee decided to put in a gold and grassroots division format for fillies and mares. So we're hoping that someone who has a nice mare that can go in maybe 59, but can't go in 57 with those other ones, but maybe later in the year she will. Maybe she can get up into the goal. So we're hoping that it makes the series accessible for a wider range of trotting fillies on PEI and encourage owners to retain their horses to race and breed on the island. Stay tuned for updated conditions. So the conditions haven't been finalized, but that's the idea, that we can have a gold and grassroots, and folks will keep their mares here rather than selling them and after their 3-year-old year. So So this is youth, matinee series. We're trying again to include other places. Now, this here is all PEI right here, but this is the dates that they're going to race in the. So we start in June and go through till the finals are in both Summerside and Charlottetown. Also, yeah, okay. We're also, this one here, we're trying to include Truro in this, and we're trying it. Hopefully we can get enough young people that are, you know, in that 25 years and younger range that we can get some of the Truro people to come over here, and we can get the Truro people or the PEI people to go over there. So again, we're trying to get this Atlantic thing working out. So right now it'll be PEI and Nova Scotia. See if we can get something started there. See if we can keep our youth involved. The fall series again, that's going to return again. It was quite successful last year for horses of so much earned, and it gives them a chance to make a little more money in the fall. So I got word 2 days ago that Cavendish Farms is going to support the Breeders' Crown Day again. Robert Irving is happy with the promotion that Lee and his folks are showing his company, and so he gave the word 2 days ago that they would support that Breeders' Crown Day again. So that's good news for Atlantic Sires. Again, we're quite fortunate. Earl Watts and I went out to see Arnold and Peter out at Arnold's house a couple of years ago to see if they'd sponsor the Maritime Breeders, and you know, a couple of really good supporters of the business, and they agreed to a 3-year with an option on the next 2 years to support Maritime Breeders. It's $25,000 a year, and we're quite thankful. It was quite successful last year. So hopefully it'll really help the purses. We're trying to get the 2 divisions up to 20,000, and the industry association put it from 56,000 this year up to 60, and we're going to find a little more money by putting the coolers out of another account. So we're hoping to get 20,000 for each of those races up to 2 divisions. So this is the board. I want to thank the board. They're very, very good at showing up for meetings, and if you're asking them to do something, you know it's going to be done. So good people: Mike Curry, Gary McGuigan, Garth Cole, Peter Smith, Lee Drake, Josh Nichol, Dina Clough, Bruce Wood, Earl Watts, of course Kent, Bill Rolson, and of course we have to thank Julie Jameson. She's just done a great job of organizing everything, pretty well all the events that we do really. So, and she's quite dedicated to the business. So. Anyway, that's just great. Okay, Julie. Anyway, that's my presentation. It's plenty long. I just tried to give you an indication of where we're going. We're trying to improve things every year and try new things, and sometimes they're going to work, sometimes they're not going to work, but we've been real successful, I think, when we look at all of those 11 items we talked about in 2019, we're accomplishing most of them. So, okay, Mr. Drake, you're on.
Well, thank you very much, Blaine, Chairman McPherson. Great report there. And great to be here tonight and to give you an update on some of the many things that's happening, of course, as Blaine pointed out, but in particular with, we'll do a breakdown of the numbers. I first of all, and by the way, I want to thank everyone that's here tonight, but also a big hello to all of you that are tuning in online tonight. I know several of you tuning in and getting the report tonight. So embracing technology is what we need to do, and we started doing that in 2020 and before, and it's still continuing. I want to lead off with David McKenzie, who made comments a little earlier. As you know, David's our leader here, and with success comes with great leaders, and they also allow the teams to lead. And they also guide, and they also give you support. And the great thing about it is all the lines of business and all the managers and everything we do, we're able to do our jobs and be able to get the support and the lead. So we really appreciate that, David. Our Red Shores team is looking forward to the start of the spring meet, which officially opens on Saturday, May 7th in Charlottetown and Monday, May 23rd at Summerside. We have much to be proud of over the last year. As a matter of fact, over the last 2 years, our product and presentation of our product has been top quality. I want to thank the breeders, the owners, trainers, drivers, and grooms for a great season. Of course, it's all about the horses. Our equine athletes always put on a great show with competitive racing, which our customers enjoy and, as you will see, wager on. Our success is due to many new partners that we have throughout North America, which gives us the opportunity to reach new markets, stream our product, and even allowed us full distribution network on several occasions last year, as you'll see, and it'll also allow us to do the same in 2022. Now, I am going to touch on a few numbers and high-level new promotions wagered for 2022. Many of the events started in the fall of 2021, and many of the planning to be included in the budget. And I want to thank April Myers, Tara Polton Myers, Gerard Smith, our race secretary, clerk, of course, Kathy Caraher, our complete race, broadcast, marketing, track, and security team. As a matter of fact, the whole Red Shores team here, whatever line of business it is, always plays a role in our guest experience here and what we do each and every race day. I also want to thank Joy Power with Standard Canada, who does a great job in our race office, and a special to Ken Oakes and Peter McPhee, who have been joining us on our weekly meetings with Sean Pensineau of Blue Slate, which is our racing agency that we continue to consult with every week to ensure we are in the right markets, that we're in the right market trends, the contacts and guidance so we can make the right business decisions. So I'm going to move to the slide now with some of our highlights, and I'm going to take you through the slide here. There are many different buckets that we use and we keep an eye on throughout the year, and I think this is important because when you see, Blaine talked about the total number of 12 million, yes, but it comes from many different areas. And so our total handle, what we decided to do here tonight was take you back over a few years. And if you go back to the total handle, back to 2019, it was 8.6 million. 2020 was 9.9, and in 2021, just ended, we hit 12 million. So we're very proud of that, and as Blaine mentioned, and you'll hear from other directors as well, it's a real big team effort that makes this all work, from the product that goes on the racetrack to how it's delivered and how it's executed. The HPI handle is a success story in its own. The HPI handle in 2019 was just over 1 million, 1.3, and we knew in 2020 very quickly when COVID hit, and really at that time we realized that simulcast and on track were going to take a real heavy hit, and so we started training our guns over to marketing aspects to get people signed up, and not only playing our product, but playing our product from here on Prince Edward Island, which is the other product, including Woodbines or the Meadowlands or Gulfstream or what have you. We've seen some really great business pickup on that. Our simulcast numbers, as you can see, they were sparkling in 2019, 2.9, but because with the restrictions, it's really hard to put people in your buildings and your locations in Charlottetown and Summerside, so we knew we were going to take a dip on that. 1.9 in 2020, and it started to rebound nicely in 2021 at 2.4, so we're up 25% there. Blaine talked about the purse contribution. Any time that you can continue to make great strides in the Red Shore's contribution, that's a success for all of us. And in 2019, it was 442,000. 2020 was 506, as you can see, and 586 is where we ended up. So up 16%. And you get an increase of 16% in your purse pool and an increase of 21% in your total handle. That makes all of us, all of you, should be proud as well. The big story here is our last two stories is the live off track. Significant growth there, as you can see, 2.6 in 2019, 4.2 in 2020, and just over 5 million. That is also made up of, when we talk HPI, but there's also online platforms baked into that live off track, and there are locations throughout the United States, and it also includes off-track partners that we're dealing with, and we continue to sell our signal too. And that's important to note. We are in a time zone here that really, really helps what we do when we're going out to sell product. And, you know, living in and working and racing in Atlantic Canada, that will allow you to have a time zone that you're not up against as much product at that particular time. And so we've really gone after that. And I'll talk more about the post time change in a minute, but that has been very successful. And we continue to work on that. We have several new tracks that we're reaching out to in 2022. And the live on track, of course, we are sparkling when it comes to our locations on Prince Edward Island. There's very few racetracks that enable to generate the great crowds that come out to the tracks. And that was a real strong number for us, 1.6 wagered on track. And so we knew that was going to take a hit, and it did. We had the numbers pretty well bang on. We knew we were going to be off about 50%, 53% is what we came in at, because we couldn't get people back to the tracks. But that's starting to rebound nicely. And as you're going to see in the next slide here, we're going to refocus again and sharpen up on what we do with customers here at the track. So we're really looking forward to that. There's a snapshot of where the money goes and where it comes from. Now, every month when Josh and I attend these meetings and we take our numbers, we decided that we're going to educate everyone around the table, and it's our hope that everyone is taking those slides and educating people on where the money comes from and how it breaks down. So what we did here is we did the breakout for you. And so we'll move to the next slide here. So we did this on $1,000 that is wagered, and I'm sure you're not alone when you hear that, oh, well, they're getting 3% on that, or 1.5, or they're only getting this. And so we want to be clear, and that's one thing that we want to be better at with our communications, all of us, is having an opportunity to really share why the decisions are made, and what's the reason for the decisions, but of course, where we're going with it. So I'm going to take you through that. Let's based on $1,000. If you wagered it on track, the total there, percentage back to us, is 29%. We share 6% of that to the purse pool. And those are guests that are wagering on track on live Charlottetown Driving Park and Summerside Raceway. If you move to the live off track on $1,000, and you'll notice that's $60 to the purse pool. If you move to the live off track, our total is 3%. We slice that in half, back to the purse pool, 1.5. Simulcast, if you wagered $1,000, it's 22%, and we share 6% of that back to the purse pool. And here's where it gets interesting. The $1,000 wagered on the HPI PEI, you heard us talk a lot about HPI PEI over the last 2 years. And that comes in at 18%. And so you'll see the increase there. And why we'll be able to increase, that's because we really focused on that market. And we split that half and half with the purse pool, so 9% each. And those are guests on PEI wagering on the Charlottetown Driving Park and Summerside Raceway through HPI. And then finally, there's the $1,000 wagered on HPI Other. And it comes in under that budget line, and that, of course, is 18% as well. So if you're on PEI and you're wagering on other tracks, such as Woodbine or Yonkers or Gulfstream or Meadowlands, that is also 18%, and we split half of that with the purse pool. So as you can see, when you look back at the contributions on $1,000 wagered by a particular bettor, you have to be doing numbers of $12 million, and you have to be, that's where you reach that significant Red Shores investment back to the purse pool. So I just think that's important. We're going to continue to do that each time we do the numbers. It just educates people on how the money works, where it comes from, and what percentage goes back to the purse pool. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about, the slide here is on our upcoming highlights, the plan for 2022. And we have several of those. We have an early and late pick 4 lined up for 2022. We have a super high 5 with the 20-cent minimums and 15% takeout. That's important on those type of races. I know our off tracks and locations and those veteran locations really enjoy those takeouts. It's a lot of work. April knows all about that when we start doing our submissions to the CPMA and tow companies to make sure that we have everything in place to offer that. The new post times, we wanted a consistent post time for our customer and for our off tracks. And the reason why we do that is because we're in a different ball game now. When we have Roberts Communications Network taking our product to full distribution and streaming services, we can't be messing around, changing dates, dropping dates, moving post times, because quite frankly, they have a full schedule of events. They only have so many windows, and we want to be consistent in there. Now, that's why the new post time, as close as we can get it, will be 6:30 across the board. And we had a meeting with the during our industry association with the two horsemen's groups, Prince County Horsemen's Club and the PEI Standard Horse Owners Association. I've been asked why we landed on 6:30 when we did 6 all along, but that's because you work together as a group. And the consensus was from the horse people that 6:30 was what they would like to see. And we work together, and we're gonna make it work, and that's what's working together is all about. Some of the racing promotions that we're going to focus in on, we have the HPI, PEI, multiple promotions that we've worked on the off season with Woodbine. We're excited about that. Full distribution network with our partner tracks. We have player sweepstakes that's underway now. Mystery vouchers will return for the on-track customers. It's a great promotion where if you wager through our tote systems anywhere on track here, you'll get a chance to win a voucher that night, but also qualify for a grand prize. New segments and graphics, player-focused. We have a new players portal that's coming that the bettor can find everything that they need in one-stop shop, and it's being developed right now. The Regional Driving Championship, it is coming here on June the 11th. We're excited to have it back. We submitted, of course, that proposal a few years ago now and was put on hold because of the pandemic. The drivers will be announced in a couple of weeks when we get the contract signed, and we're excited about that. The Drive for Charity will return this year. It's a little different. We're going to do the holiday edition. There's an exciting announcement that's coming tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and we encourage you to be there. But that'll set the stage for Old Home Week. But the Drive for Charity will start in September and go right up and through to the holiday season. And the new series that was also announced as well. So tailgate parties returning to Summerside, many of the upgrades that our teams are working on, additions, and a brand new fan zone that we just launched downstairs that we worked on last year, and we're looking forward to bringing that back. In closing, it doesn't happen by chance. There was no playbook over the last 2 years. Red Shores changed how we did business and had the support of the Industry Association and the Horsemen's Groups. We set an all-time wagering record at Governor's Plate Night in 2021, launched new Friday night tailgate parties, and even went after a new market on Mondays after Labor Day, set numerous track records, and who could ever forget the memorable moment when the Shepherd family won the Gold Cup? What a thrill. Before I turn my time back to the chair, I would like to congratulate Vance Cameron on being the Canadian legend on a special Legends Day at Century Downs on April 23rd. Let's continue to work hard, embrace new technology, and move our industry ahead. Thank you very much.
don't think Gary, is Gary here today? There, Gary. Do you want to talk about Atlantic Sires or? Here's some speaking points that Julie set out for me on that Atlantic Invitational Cup, which I didn't read. The series created for pacers age 3 and older, whereby horses participating in designated invitation events earn points, and a final on the Atlantic Breeders' Crown weekend. The points awarded to the first 5 finishers in each event. Those participating and finishing out of the money will earn a participation point in each event they enter. Top 8-point earners will compete in the final on Atlantic Breeders' Crown weekend. And the goal of this event is to encourage invitational horses to remain in the Maritimes for the entire season, highlight racing at the Maritimes track, and grow betting and fan base. Full conditions for the Atlantic Invitational Cup will be posted on Red Shores. So President Peter is home. He ended up with COVID again Saturday when he come back from Florida. So he sent this to me to read. So Chairman Blaine, Minister Compton, industry members and guests, good evening, and thank you for all for attending our Industry Association AGM here at Red Shores, and as well those viewing our meeting online. Our association, the PEI Standardbred Horse Owners Association, is a member and stakeholder in the PEI Harness Racing Industry Association and has been so since its inception of the Industry Association Board many years ago. It was actually 1999. The PEI Standardbred Horse Owners is an association open to all horsemen and horsewomen from within our industry, and whose primary mandate is to represent and administer the concerns of the standardbred horse owners, trainers, drivers, and grooms here on PEI. Our membership and support from industry participants remain strong, and each year consistently has approximately 250 members. This past year, 2021, in many ways, there's been a year of both transition and success. Transition in the fact that our association and the harness racing industry here on PEI were able to operate in a modified manner as a result of COVID, to the point where we were back to operating and enjoying our industry to as close to normal as we have been for 2 years. 2021 has been a very successful year as well, thanks to our industry association partners. In particular, thanks to Red Shores, our members were able to participate and race their horses for more money than in previous years, with a full season of race dates offered. At this time, we give a big thank you to Premier Dennis King and Honourable Minister Darlene Compton for the continuous support and confidence they have shown to the harness racing industry here on Prince Edward Island. This past year, our association continued to support and sponsor numerous events that we have been associated with for our industry participants. We sponsored Old Home Week and Breeders' Crown Weekend, both of which are 2 marquee events in our industry. Additionally, we presented Horse of the Month awards and recognized individual milestone accomplishments. Supported the matinee racing program to help promote and grow the future of our industry. We provided the golf cart service for horse people on race nights. We worked with the management team at Red Shores to help maintain track and barn conditions. We also conducted a 50-50 draws on each race card throughout the year to help generate revenue for our association. In addition to the above, our association is involved in helping maintain and manage the purse pool, providing hookup fees to owners during special events, organizing and presenting the annual Horse Persons Day and Drivers Competition in November, where we present the winning driver with the Paul McDowell Memorial Trophy. We would like to congratulate David Dowling for winning this competition in 2021, and as well thank all the drivers for putting on an excellent show for the fans. And our annual awards banquet, where we recognize our horse and human achievements for the past year. Also, our association is a huge priority to support our horse people in times of need, whether it's a result of an on-track injury or a medical-related illness. The activities mentioned above give you an overview of what the PEI Standardbred Horse Owner Association plays to help make harness racing here on PEI both fun and successful. We would like to thank all our 50-plus sponsors who are there to support us each year when we look to present our Horse Persons Day and Awards Banquet. We appreciate your generous support. This year, our annual awards banquet will be held live at the Rod Charlottetown Hotel on Saturday, April 30th at 6 p.m. for a reception and the meal and the awards to follow at 7 p.m. Guest speakers will be Anthony and James McDonald. Our annual meeting will be held in May with a date to be confirmed. In conclusion, I would like to thank our Board of Directors for their efforts and for volunteering their time to make our association and industry a little bit better each year. President Peter Smith, Vice President James Perot, Treasurer Gail McDonald, Secretary Better Gregan, Secretary Melissa McCrae, Ed Doucette, Thane Arsenault, Charlene Seufer, Amber Campbell, Chris McKay, Corey McPherson. That's Peter's report. Very good one. Okay. Dina Clow, Prince County Horse.
Sorry, I just needed to get my flashlight on. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dina Clow, and I'm a director of the Prince County Horsemen's Club. The board, along with myself, is Darla McCachran, Tyler DeRoche, Jansen Sweet, Colin Johnson, Wade Sorey, and Blaine McKenna. Together, we are trying to fill our barnyard, work on the track to make it race ready for May 24th, and 23rd, sorry, and get our equicizer updated and running. Saturday past, we were able to have our awards banquet. We had a successful night. We had a great meal with great people. It was a great night all around. On behalf of the Prince County Horsemen's Club, I would like to thank the government of Prince Edward Island, the City of Summerside, and Red Shore Charlottetown for all of their support. And that's it.
Thank you, Dina. Bruce Wood.
Need a lamp? Thank you, Chairman Blaine. So a lot of the things have been covered in Blaine's report, but I guess I would like to say that we were asked, the Industry Association, I believe, put this group together in November of 2019, and at that time our board was elected. So I'll just tell you who's on the board. There's 8 directors nominated and 2 more added to add a little bit of diversity to our group at that time. So from west to east, they're roughly Wendell Williams, Blaine Thiebaud, Garth Cole, Nick Oakes, Cam McPhee, Haley McDonald, Paul Walker, Jamie Whalen, Scott Rolson, and myself. I'm the chair, and Scott Rolson's the vice chair, and Nick Oakes is the secretary. Dr. Martha Mellish sits on our committee as our education resource. Blaine makes every meeting as the chair of the Industry Association. That's super important for him to hear the discussion that we're having there. Ken Oakes makes every meeting, and he's representing the Department of Finance, and of course Julie Jameson as the Executive Director of the Industry Association. This forms our PEI Standardbred Breeders Association group. In the last year, it's been a struggle since the last 2 years to meet in person. I think we've done well to meet 4 or 5 times each year, mostly through the winter before the busy season gets upon us. So, you know, the first thing we had to do was put together a mission statement, which we did, was to develop strategies and initiatives on behalf of the PEI Standardbred breeders that will enhance and grow the PEI breeding sector. And it's interesting when we listen to all the reports, it's, that's wonderful, and it's sort of the foundation of everything is to put more foals on the ground, but we all have to grow together, whether it's, you know, enhancing the overnight horses, enhancing the overnight purses, the strength in Red Shores, and we're just so blessed to have these 2 fantastic facilities and being led by David and Lee and their teams. It's so much easier to invest when you walk into a facility like we have in Summerside and Charlottetown, and it just makes things so much easier. And a huge thank you to Minister Compton and to our Premier Dennis King as well. We did in the last year put together a set of bylaws and for the Breeders Association. Although we kind of operate underneath the Industry Association, this will allow us to have good terms of office. Next Tuesday on April 19th is our annual meeting. There are 3 members of our directors of our committee that will be are not going to reoffer. And so those vacancies will be filled. If anybody has any interest in sitting on that committee, then that's where they will be filled, and please contact Julie. Underneath our mission statement, we put together some pillars to help guide in what we do, and those are incentives and things like just to know how we work. You know, we come up with these ideas, and then we bring them to the Industry Association, because that's our funding arm, and it gets tossed around there again, and sometimes it gets pushed back to our Breeders Association. And you know, whether it was even the stallion that the Industry Association supported underneath Blaine and his group, the Trot Mare Series, and then bringing that back and recognizing that it's not quite the way that it's supposed to maybe envision, so you make adjustments and suggest it to go to a golden grassroots. Those are the things that we're working on, and we spent a lot of time on the trot industry, because when we were formed, it was kind of, the curve was going the wrong direction, and now if you look at it, and we got, you know, new investments in trot stallions and trot mares, and I think we're really pleased, although, because I don't think if we had got that going that we'd be where we are today. So the incentives and the Breeders Awards that were already with us, and that's been enhanced by the Industry Association, the foal incentive, which everybody shares in. The mare acquisition program that was just launched last fall, we wanted to get it launched, and it wasn't simple, and it was late, but I think that it gave us a really good starting point, and there's money there to either do the same or enhance it a little bit. And there will be some changes to it, like anything else that you get going. You whether it's the age of the mare or whatever, there's going to be a couple of tweaks to it, but hopefully we can launch it, and you know, it's in the budget. Hopefully we can meet earlier on in the summertime and get it launched, not just 2 weeks before Harrisburg, but hopefully early in the summer, and give breeders more time to take advantage. So one of the pillars was the incentive and the mare and stallion acquisition. The third is education, and those are breeders conferences that we held in 2020 and again in just earlier this month, or in March. And you know, I think those are wonderful tools. And every time you have a breeders conference, no matter who you are, you take something away from that conference, one thing, or maybe it's multiple things, but you're probably taking one thing. And I think Julie said there was like over 700 people watch that online. So I think that's you know, those are things that we'll continue to do. And the fourth pillar to keep us on track is youth, and I think hopefully we get Name the Foal contest launched this spring yet, and and you know, and there's other components into youth, but those are things that kind of keep us on track, is what I would say. So again, thank you to the Industry Association for all your support, and to Minister Compton and the Premier, and we look forward to seeing any breeders that are interested out next Tuesday on the 19th. Thank you.
No, that's a good group there, and you know, continually trying to improve. How can we improve and change? Like getting those mares. Let's do it earlier. Let's get some sales that are earlier. But at least we tried the 10 mares, got 9. Some of those mares have already foaled, and so the whole idea, you know, it's working. How can we improve? Make it better. Make it better. Okay, Maritime Breeders, Earl Watts.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank Minister Compton, who's not here tonight, but she'd like to be listening, Premier Dennis King, Red Shores fellow Industry Association board members, as well as Peter Smith and Arnold Hagan, sponsors of the Home Hardware Maritime Breeder Stake, as well as all our stallion owners for the 2022 season. We have 26 stallions paid in to our major stake Maritime Stake, 2 trot stallions, and 24 pacing stallions. With the support from Peter and Arnold, the Industry Association, the stallion owners, we were able to race for increased purses in the stakes for all divisions in 2021 season. We plan on reaching the 20,000 purse this year if there is only 2 fields in each division again. We want to thank all involved in standing all 26 stallions. It is a major investment to bring and stand these well-bred stallions into the Maritimes. And the result of our strong breeding industry is showing up on the racetrack year after year, with horses going to the races and being competitive all over North America. With the continuous support of our breeding farms and their dedication to producing quality bloodlines with exceptional stallions and mares, our product is making leaps and bounds. I'd like to thank our Vice Chair, Blaine McPherson from Maritime Breeders, and our Treasurer and Secretary, Julie. Thank you.
Quite a public speaker, Earl. I've heard you speaking before. Not as eloquently as that, probably. No, excellent. Maritime Breeders is generally the stallions, and you know, that's healthy. 26 stallions, so you know, we have a lot of mares now in the Maritime. So anyway, that stake kind of faltered for a few years, but Julie spent a lot of time and a lot of money to get it switched from Nova Scotia to PEI, and the company taxes hadn't been paid for forever to be a company. And anyway, it took a lot of time and money to get that officially a stake. So it's a separate stake from the Lady Slipper and PI Coal Stakes. It's a separate stake altogether, but it's made up of stallion fees, and so primarily stallions are dividing that, and then sustaining fees and all the rest of it. So it's a maritime venture, not like Atlantic Sires where your stallion has to stand in that province. It's a maritime thing, so any stallion who stands in the Maritimes is eligible to those stakes. So actually there's 26 in total, which is a large number for this year. So as I mentioned earlier, you folks were asked to give your opinion on how can we improve the industry and breeding and all the rest of it. In fact, in Bruce's seminar, when I happened to be sitting here, and they had Twin Bee Farms a tour of their facility, which, you know, is, I mean, they do about as good a job as you can do. So of course we're trying to improve on, if we breed, 10 mares, how many foals can we get? And, it looks like here we generally get between 5 and 6 foals, if you can imagine, out of 10 mares. And they had 33 mares. Bruce asked them, how is your record on mares? And they bred 33 mares and had 31 foals. So it can be done. So that's something for us to strive for, to be honest. So anyway, okay, Brenda Wedge is here from our MRSP, and Brenda's been facilitating that program, and she'll explain who the members are on that committee and who the advisory committee is and all the rest of it. So anyway, Brenda, you can give us an idea of what your group do.
So I'm Brenda Wedge, a senior consultant with MRSB Consulting Services. I just want to thank the Industry Association for inviting me to share some of the highlights from our Phase 1 equine study, and also to share an overview of the Phase 2 work, which is just getting started. So in 2021, a study was conducted for Holland College and ABC in partnership with the PEI horse industry, and that's both the standard bred and the equestrian recreation and sport industry. And its purpose was to identify best practices in industry amongst trainers, coaches, and breeders, and to identify topics and areas where further knowledge through training or research is required, and to recommend a model for knowledge transfer. So I'll share some of the highlights for findings for both the standard bred and the equestrian recreation and sport industry. So our methodology for the study, you can go back a slide, included best practice interviews with standard bred industry trainers and breeders. We did an online survey, which many of you participated in. We had 181 respondents from the standard bred industry, so very pleased with that. We also did best practice industries with the equestrian recreation and sport industry with their trainers and coaches and breeders. And we did an online survey as well with their industry participants, and we had 74 respondents there. And we also had interviews with 3 best practice knowledge institutions. So in terms of the standard bred industry survey, we had asked the participants to select their top 10 areas where they would benefit from knowledge of industry best practices, and so there was close to 50 areas to choose from. So what we show here is the top 10 from the survey, and so the first 4 are really around feeding programs, so the benefits of supplements and feed, best practices for race day feeding routines, the benefit of various feeding programs by the stage of training or racing, and feeding program for foals. And then the next group was really around preventative practices, so minimizing the spread of disease, maintaining a clean environment for horses, mitigating the risk of common injuries. And then the final 3 were budgeting and cash flow management, recognizing when training modifications are required, and managing costs. So we also asked about research interests, and so the areas where more research could be done is identified by the standard bred industry. The breeders said methods to ensure the best growth and proper nutrition from pasture lands and hay fields, prevention of faults in breeding lines such as poor joints, treatment methods for endometriosis, and prevention of OCD in standard breds. The trainers mentioned disease control, the best feeding programs, strangles, the impact of using recommended dose of cobalt on race day drug testing results, and lameness. And then the participant survey identified breeding practices, feeding programs and supplements, nutrition, and lameness. And I'll share as well what we heard from the equestrian sport and recreation industry. So their top one was the benefit of supplements and feed as well. And then they had a number around preventative practices, best practices for use of vaccinations, minimizing the spread of disease, best practices for worming programs, best practices for dental care, common problems and issues in training and conditioning, mitigating injuries, benefits of various feeding programs by the stage of training or conditioning, common problems and issues in training and conditions, and recognizing when training modifications are required. And then also looked at their research interests, so amongst the breeders, reproductive techniques that are used in other countries and their applicability to Canada, and methods to assess semen quality. For the trainers, again, strangles come up, effectiveness of new therapies and technologies, prevention of ulcers, nutritional value of haylage, colic, lameness, and nutrition. And then from the participant side and the equestrian sport and recreation, proof of effectiveness of joint supplements, equine complex vertebral malformation, proper hoof care, effects of sugar in the grass and laminitis, biomechanics, body joint and muscular issues, dietary requirements, and effectiveness of supplements available and what supplement is best for certain issues. So from all of the information gathered in the 2021 study, we did have to look at models for knowledge transfer. So the recommended model that we had come up with from this study was to establish an Atlantic Equine Training and Research Center and to implement a new training facility in conjunction with ABC and Holland College. So some of the aspects might be the local industry associations contracting with an external body for online education components of training like they do now, but leveraging existing knowledge from leading industry participants as well as health, nutrition, and sports medicine knowledge from ABC, and establishing of an equine Atlantic Advisory Board that would oversee the assessment of needs and delivery for knowledge transfer and research, and working in partnership with ABC, UPI, and Holland College to guide the creation and use of a new center. Would see it located in proximity to ABC and UPI, led by a separate director, but supported by the ABC UPI faculty and staff. They do have 16 staff working in various areas like animal care, equine medicine and surgery, sports medicine, equine nutrition and reproduction, horse welfare, human-animal bond, and equine-assisted therapies, and the ability to leverage the current ABC and UPI expenditures in this area. So this led to a phase 2 engagement, and I'll give you an overview of that. We've recently been engaged for a second phase of this project, and this phase is really to further define a concept for the center. So some of the aspects would be determining how Holland College, ABC, UPI, and industry will work together to drive the success of the center, exploring potential partnerships with other equine institutes, industry associations, and the other Atlantic provinces, looking at research support with a potential industry-led research fund, defining the business model for providing knowledge enhancement to industry, considering the use of matinee tracks in Strathgartney Equestrian Park for aspects of training, identification of the location for the center and defining its interaction with ABC, Holland College, and industry, and identifying incremental staffing, facility, and equipment needs. So as I said, we're just really getting started on this. We do have a steering committee in place, and this is the same steering committee that we had for the initial project as well. So Dr. Sandy McDonald, the president of Holland College, Dr. Greg Keefe, who's now the interim president with UPEI, Dr. John Van Leeuwen, who is the interim dean with Atlantic Veterinary College, and Michael O'Brien, who's there as an industry representative. And as well, we've established an advisory committee. So we have members of both the standardbred industry and the equestrian sport and recreation industry sitting on that as well. So you'll recognize some of these names: Blaine McPherson, Mike Curry, Gary McGuigan, Don Ling, Ewan Taylor, Dr. Tim Ogilvie, who was the former dean of ABC, Dr. Kathleen McMillan, who's the faculty member at ABC with a focus on equine, Becca Henderson, and Kara Grant are both representing the equestrian sport and recreation side of things. So we do want to know what is important to the industry in developing the business concept for the center. So you can certainly communicate your thoughts in two ways. You can communicate directly to me. I've put my email up there and my phone number. You can find me on our website as well, or by discussing with one of the steering or advisory committee members that are representing the standardbred industry, and they can certainly pass your thoughts along to me as well. We are, as I said, just getting going with this part of it, but certainly interested in any input that any of you might have to provide towards the business concept for that center. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brenda. Gary and Julie and I attended the session a couple of weeks ago, and I just didn't feel that the industry heard back from that group. So I said, well, we're having the AGM tonight. Why don't you throw some slides together? It'll be online, people will be here, and you can tell what the folks are doing. It's kind of an idea, how do we make things better again, but you know, when you start talking about the horse population and the pleasure horses, there's big populations in other provinces. I mean, real big populations. So we think on the standardbred size, but when you're talking pleasure horses, there's big numbers. So anyway, it's wanting to be themed as an Atlantic center, and Gary was there, and Gary said maybe it should be a community center because we want to make sure everybody's welcome in that facility. So we'll see where, I guess we were asked to go, and Brenda said, well, we're going to work on phase 2, and I said, well, you better tell us about phase 1 before you get into phase 2. So anyway, so you do a great job, Brenda, and everything you do there, so that's great. Anyway, we're bringing this to a conclusion. Are there any questions from anybody in the audience that maybe we can answer? I certainly hope we can. And if not, anyone online, just send notes to Julie. I have no idea how many are online tonight. Rob, do you have an idea how many's online? I know there were quite a few for the Breeders' Conference, and any questions we could answer, because that's what we're here for. Nice and open. A couple of dozen, okay. It was not a big crowd online, okay. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but any questions here from anybody in the audience? Yes, sir.
When the tracks are going to host the invitational events, so are all the tracks in the Maritimes going to kind of honor these events, and we're not going to compete against them? Like if we have horses here that don't want to go to wherever, they don't want to travel, are we still going to put an event on here on the same night? I would hope not. So that's just my suggestion.
Okay. Yeah, the details are not finalized yet, but I'm sure Mr. Smith will be involved in all of that, I'm sure. So, yeah. And also, you know, one of the things too, they're going to try to award points for people that go in each location, people from Truro to come here and New Brunswick to come here, and people that go from here to New Brunswick, and there'll be points associated. You're going to need so many points. It's just not a matter of racing in Charlottetown only. You probably won't get in the final if you only stay in Charlottetown. So, and I have no idea how many will even go in it, if there's going to be more than one division. It's just an idea that came up, and we'd like to see if we can enhance the Maritime region.
Thank you.
Any questions from anyone? Okay, yes, sir.
I don't have a question, Blake, but
Oh, you don't have a question, okay?
okay, what I do will say is that you thank everybody else in the room that were on your boards and stuff like that. I think that we should thank you as well.
This has been an excellent night, a great presentation, lots of good information. I think everybody that's part of these committees deserve a big clap, including Red Shores. I like David's thing that we're aligned. I think there was a little while ago we weren't aligned, and I think that's very important that we are aligned. So thank you very much, and thank you for having an annual meeting and be able to bring us up to scratch on where things come and where money comes and from and where it goes and new initiatives. So thank you and all your volunteers.
Thank you. Well, it's all about doing things right, because you're never afraid to tell what you're doing if you're doing things as good as you can do, and our group are all trying to improve the business, so I think we're doing that. So there's a contact list there. If anyone has questions that wants to send it online to Julie, and Julie will send it to the appropriate person to answer the question. So anyway, thanks very much, folks, for attending. Thank you.